There is a sentence that can fail if you repeat it 1,000 times, and land differently if you say it once from the right place. Not because words are magic, not because sound bends reality by itself, but because the deeper mind does not only hear the words you speak, it hears the identity standing behind them. Most people do not affirm from possession, they affirm from hunger. They say, "I am wealthy," while their body is begging to be saved. They say, "I am chosen," while their nervous system is waiting for proof. They say, "I am successful," while the hidden feeling underneath the words is, "Please let this become true." And the deeper mind receives the hidden feeling more faithfully than the sentence. That is why most affirmations do not fail at the level of language. They fail at the level of authority. The sentence sounds positive, but the person speaking it is still asking permission from the old life. They are not declaring, they are negotiating. They are not speaking from the end. They are speaking toward the end. And anything spoken toward the end keeps the end at a distance. Robert Collier's old framework points to a different principle. The accepted image, the accepted state, and the accepted word must agree. When they agree, the word becomes instruction. When they do not agree, the word becomes noise. So this video is not about repeating affirmations all day. It is about one clean sentence spoken from the correct inner position. I will give you the sentence. I will show you why it works, when it fails, how to say it, and what you must do immediately after saying it so you do not cancel the instruction with the next 5 minutes of doubt. Stay to the end, because the most important part is not the sentence itself. It is the silence after the sentence. That silence either seals the command or exposes the fact that you were still asking. Here is the sentence. It is done in me. I move from it now. Do not rush past it. The words are simple because the method is not hidden in decoration. It is done in me. I move from it now. The first half ends the argument inside. The second half changes the source of action. The sentence does not say, "It is coming." It does not say, "I hope it happens." It does not say, "One day reality will agree with me." It says, "The inner act is complete, and my next movement comes from the completed state." That is why saying it once correctly can be stronger than repeating a weaker sentence all day from panic. If that already explains why some affirmations have made you feel worse instead of stronger, hit the like. It tells me this is reaching the people who were not using weak words. They were using words from the wrong inner position. The first correction is this. Never say the sentence as a request. Most people disguise requests as affirmations. They say, "I am safe," while secretly asking life to stop threatening them. They say, "I am loved," while secretly asking someone to finally prove it. They say, "Money flows to me," while secretly staring at lack and hoping the words overpower the fear. The deeper mind is not fooled by grammar. It does not hear only the surface, it hears the posture. A request has a reaching quality. It leans forward, it waits, it measures. A verdict rests. This is why the phrase begins with, "It is done in me," not out there, not in the visible form yet. In me. This protects the method from childish denial. You are not saying the bank account has changed when it has not. You are not saying the message arrived when the phone is silent. You are not saying the door opened when the door is closed. You are saying the mold has been formed inside. The old reaction is no longer the authority. The inner pattern has been accepted. The next movement comes from that pattern, not from the evidence. The second correction is to prepare the state before you speak. This is the part almost everyone skips. They try to use words to create the state instantly, but the words must be placed into an inner atmosphere that can receive them. Before you say the sentence, pause. Let the body settle. Do not perform. Do not strain. Do not try to feel powerful. Become still enough to notice the difference between a sentence spoken from panic and a sentence spoken from possession. Then choose a small completed scene, not a movie, not a fantasy, a small inner fact. If it is money, the scene is not money saving you. It is you moving through the morning without emergency in your body. If it is love, the scene is not someone finally choosing you in a dramatic moment. It is you feeling known without negotiating your worth. If it is success, the scene is not applause. It is you doing the work with quiet command, because recognition no longer feels foreign. Enter the scene for a few seconds. See one detail, feel one physical shift, touch one emotional tone, then say the sentence from there, not as the order. First the scene, then the sentence, then the movement. Most people reverse it. They say the words while still standing inside the old identity, then wonder why the mind does not obey. But a word spoken from the old self often becomes evidence for the old self. It says, "Look how hard I am trying to become something else." The corrected method lets the words come after the inner placement. The sentence becomes a seal, not a struggle. The third correction is to make the words final, not emotional. Emotion can help, but emotion is not the authority. Many people chase intensity because intensity feels like proof. They want the affirmation to give them a rush, a wave, a high, a spiritual shock. But the deeper mind often trusts ordinary certainty more than dramatic emotion. When something truly belongs to you, you do not need to scream it. You do not need to convince the walls. You do not need to make your voice shake with power. Ownership is quieter than hunger. So when you say, "It is done in me," say it like a verdict. Not harshly, not loudly, finally. As if the inner trial is over. The old evidence may still be visible, but it no longer has permission to define the self that is moving next. Then say, "I move from it now." That second line is what prevents the sentence from becoming a spiritual escape. It brings the state into action. It means the next email, the next conversation, the next decision, the next step, the next hour will be approached from the new mold instead of the old fear. Now the original source matters here. What I am giving you in this video is the correction, not the full foundation. Collier's old work goes deeper into how the accepted image and the spoken word cooperate, why some suggestions sink into the deeper mind while others remain surface noise, and why a statement must agree with the inner state before it becomes instruction. I left the original source in the description. Free. Do not leave yet, because the next part is the reason people say the right words and still keep the old life active. The fourth correction is to remove the hidden contradiction. A sentence only becomes powerful when it stops fighting the body. If you say, "I am wealthy," but the body feels like it is lying, the mind does not receive wealth, it receives conflict. If you say, "I am loved," but every part of you is begging a specific person to rescue you, the mind does not receive love, it receives dependence. If you say, "I am successful," but you are secretly trying to prove someone wrong, the mind does not receive command, it receives revenge. The words may sound elevated, but the hidden state is still old. That is why this sentence is inward first. "It is done in me" means the old identity no longer has the final vote. "I move from it now" means I do not sit here waiting for proof before I become different. The sentence gives you a bridge between inner assumption and outer action. It does not deny the visible. It refuses to be authored by it. Denial says nothing is wrong. Authority says the old form is visible, but it is not my source. Denial avoids reality. Authority enters reality from a different state. The fifth correction is to speak once, then stop digging. This is where the title matters. Repeat this once. Not because one repetition is a spell, because one clean repetition followed by silence is often more disciplined than 50 repetitions followed by checking. Most people say the sentence, then immediately look for proof. Do I feel different? Did something shift? Did the person text? Did the money move? Did my mood change? Is there a sign that checking is another sentence? It says, "I am not sure the first one worked." So after you say it, close the act. Let the sentence stand. Do not keep poking it to see if it is alive. Do not repeat it nervously, like a person knocking on a door they think is locked. Say it once from the completed state, then move. Wash the cup, open the laptop, walk outside, make the call, continue the day. The movement after the sentence is where the mind learns whether you meant it. Leave the word "done" below if you understand the difference between repeating words and sealing a state. Just one word, done. I want to see how many people are ready to stop using affirmations as begging and start using them as verdicts. The sixth correction is to make the phrase specific without making it complicated. The main sentence stays the same, but the inner target can change. For money, you do not need 10 different money affirmations. You enter the feeling of normal provision and say, "It is done in me. I move from it now." Then you answer the financial situation from less fear. You organize, decide, create, ask, offer, build, or cut what must be cut from a steadier state. For love, you enter the feeling of quiet belonging and say, "It is done in me, I move from it now." Then you stop making every silence a verdict against your worth. For success, you enter the posture of quiet authority and say, "It is done in me, I move from it now." Then you do the next piece of work as someone who is no longer begging to be seen. This is where the method becomes dangerous in the right way. It removes excuses. A weak affirmation lets you feel spiritual while living from the same old posture. This sentence demands movement. I move from it now means you cannot keep calling yourself new while obeying the old identity in every ordinary choice. You cannot say it is done in me and then spend the day worshiping the same fear. You cannot say I move from it now and then refuse the next step because the old evidence still looks loud. The phrase forces a question: from what self am I about to move? The seventh correction is to lower the drama. The mind accepts what feels natural enough to repeat. If your statement feels like a performance, make the state smaller. If it feels like a lie, bring it inward. If it feels too far from the current form, do not argue with the form. Return to the mold. It is done in me. That phrase allows growth without pretending the visible has already changed. It lets you plant authority where authority belongs. At the level of accepted inner pattern, then I move from it now prevents the pattern from remaining a private fantasy. If this channel is showing you the original mechanics behind ideas that are usually explained vaguely, subscribe. Every few days we go back to the older sources and pull out the part that was left behind. Now practice the sequence. Sit still, do not rush. Let the face relax, let the shoulders drop, let the breath become slower than the thought. Choose one completed inner scene. It can be very small: a hand on a table, a phone you do not fear, a room you belong in, a task you approach with command, a morning without emergency. Step into it through your own eyes. Do not watch yourself. Be there. Feel the ordinary evidence of that state. Not excitement, not relief, ownership. Then say it once: it is done in me. I move from it now. After you say it, do not add 5 more lines. Do not explain it to yourself. Do not beg the mind to accept it. Do not check the outside for a response. Let the sentence fall into silence. Then take one ordinary action from that state. This is what teaches the mind that the sentence was not noise, it was direction. The subconscious, in Collier's language, is not impressed by words alone. It is impressed by accepted pictures, repeated assumptions, and the conduct that confirms them. Your action does not have to be huge. It has to be congruent. There is one final warning. Do not use this phrase to avoid responsibility. If there is a bill, handle what can be handled. If there is a conversation, speak where speech is required. If there is work, do the work. The phrase does not replace life. It changes the interior authority from which you meet life. That is the difference between fantasy and formation. Fantasy says the words and waits. Formation says the words, accepts the state, and moves in a way that proves the old identity has lost command. And do not use it to force a specific person, situation, or outcome to obey your fear. If the hidden state is desperation, the sentence will carry desperation. If the hidden state is revenge, it will carry revenge. If the hidden state is panic, it will carry panic. The words are not separate from the speaker. That is the point. The deeper mind accepts the whole posture. So clean the posture first. Return to the completed scene. Let the body soften into possession. Then speak. The words become powerful when they are no longer carrying the old wound. That is why this sentence is simple. It is done in me. I move from it now. The first line forms the inner fact. The second line protects it from becoming imagination only. It is not a chant. It is not a wish. It is not a trick to make the outside world perform on demand. It is an inner verdict followed by aligned movement. Say it once correctly, then let the next action testify that you meant it. The original foundation behind this goes deeper than one video can go. The older sequence, the way Collier treated accepted suggestion, and the connection between inner image, spoken word, and outer form are linked below. Free. Start there after this, because a sentence without foundation becomes another phrase to repeat when you feel afraid. But tonight, do the simple version. One scene, one sentence, one action. Do not beg, do not check, do not turn it into noise. Say it from the end. It is done in me. I move from it now. Then prove it quietly with the next step.